We're like lined up with our dogs on each side of the couch right now. I got George. Captain Tater's got Hurley over there. And Hurley wants nothing to do with you, apparently.
I'm ready to go.
You ready to party?
Yup.
All right.
Just like that, you've been recording this whole time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a lot of footage to edit.
You got the wide angle on that camera right there. You got this one tight on your face.
Ooh, wee.
So tight
Just
on
me?
your face. Not on your necklace though.
Well, what if I put my necklace
Yeah,
over
if you
my
put
face?
it right in front of your face right there.
Because that is what I am.
You're covering up a bunch of the letters with your fingers, and for the people listening to the podcast and not watching it, it has this very heavy metal. It's actually 24 karat gold and
blood diamond,
apparently that we got for about $18,000 on Craigslist that says champion.
For sure, it's gonna be the golf fishing podcast champion winner.
Whoa,
basically.
golf podcast now.
Wow. Yeah, golf fishing podcast, because you got to display the championship medal on the podcast.
True.
That's how you know it's official.
Yeah.
When it's made it to the podcast.
Because we literally just got done with a day of fishing and golfing, and let's get right into this podcast right here. Welcome, everyone, and I am joined today by my good buddy, Captain Tater.
I'm just happy to be here. It was such a great day, and it's just awesome to end it off on the podcast talking about basically the whole thing. So
yeah, and we by the time this podcast comes out, the video will be well out. The fishing fairways. This is obviously the first time we tried doing this. We kind of took a little bit of inspiration from a TV show in the past I used to watch called Fins and Skins with Henry Wozchuk or whatever. And we went ahead and did a little fishing this morning. Went from about 8:30 to 12. And
we were out there at about 8. We had a full 4 hours, I'd say, by the time we were on the boat to off the boat.
Well, if you take in consideration catching the bait.
Yeah, for sure. I think that needs to be part of our fishing day, you know?
Which Tate absolutely killed it.
I mean, I got to give credit to Brent, though. I mean, Brent just knew where the bait was at. All I had to do was throw the net and open it up, and that's not the hardest job in the world.
There was a healthy amount of bait at this one spot. Tate threw once. First off, Tate grabs the cast net without me even saying anything, and he just starts loading it up. I'm like, you know what? Thank you. People that come on my boat and want to throw the cast net, I am all about it. Especially when you can throw it like Tate. First throw,
that's helpful.
He threw it. Probably got about 2 dozen, maybe 2 dozen thread fins.
Yeah, they're all thread fins on that first throw, really.
Second toss, had to have been
250,
300 baits.
Plus, yeah, I mean,
all pilchards, all whitebait, and it was perfect.
It was one of those throws where it was hard to pull up. And I know that sounds like, okay, yeah, he's kind of like, okay, he's weak. But at the same time, like, it was loaded with whitebait to the point where it was like 3 times as heavy as the net itself. So it's a little bit tough.
And when you have a morning that starts that way, every single time you get a bunch of bait, especially in the morning, especially when we had a time limit, kind of like we had today, especially with the tea time at 2, we're like, all right, we want to be off the water by like 12:30 at the absolute latest. Your mind starts racing on like, where can we go? And obviously you always have a little bit of doubt when you're going into this, like, are we actually going to be able to catch some fish? Like, we have all this hype going into with this point system or whatever.
Exactly.
And I was like, you know what? In the past week, I've been able to find redfish at this one spot. I'm like, let's try that first. Tide's really weird. Super high, low tide, wasn't a lot of water movement pretty much the entire time we were going to be out there. But as soon as we got to the spot, we started live chumming. Honestly, not immediately. We didn't see anything immediately. Probably took about 15 minutes, and it was as soon as we started trying to move, literally as we were moving. And
we were literally moving. I kept a bait in the water just to like, okay, I had the bail open. We were moving away from it. The trolling motor was on 6, 7, 8. I mean, it was moving 1.5 miles away.
And I was just like, you know what?
1.5 miles an hour.
I was like, let's go fish a different spot that's close. I was like, let's just move over there. These redfish, a school must have just pushed through as we were moving, because these redfish start busting on these live chums that we threw out.
There was big swirls everywhere, and I mean, it was almost like a 50-yard spread of where these redfish were just really blowing up, and it was a big school. Yeah. So I immediately had hooked up, and we pretty much
lost
anchored.
The first one. You got hit.
I did. I got hit, and was just like, oh no. my bait was just tore up. But I still had it reeling it in. I just totally missed that
And
fish.
I'm still like moving the troll motor. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, oh crap. So I'm trying to like loop us around, and I cast my popping cork in there. Popping cork gets hit pretty quickly. I missed that one as well. I'm like, all right, let's just set up. Let's just kind of take our time. Let's just
Reposition a
set up.
second.
And as soon as we did that and we started live chumming, it was pretty much on. Every single time we threw live chum, there was some redfish blowing up on it for about 45 minutes. And it just made, like, when you go into a video and you have an idea like this, it just makes you feel so good when you can get on some quality fish. Because we got on quality. We didn't catch one redfish that was under slot. And it just made the whole day, like going into golf, going into everything, just kind of like took the weight off your shoulders. Granted, I needed way more points against State.
Yeah, I really needed to almost get skunked today because Brent, I mean, not that we both kind of had an off day at golf. I'm not saying that we both played our best round of golf by any means, but at the same time, I mean, I have golfed longer than Brent, and that definitely is like a thing that we will have to keep in mind in the future as far as the strokes go. If he's if he's catching a ton of fish and I'm not, then that's definitely very helpful as far as that game goes.
That's what we're talking about. We're just like kind of like brainstorming, especially after at the end of golf. We're just kind of brainstorming. We're like, all right, how do we feel about the whole point system? How do we feel about how like today went? And we keep going back and forth. We're like, yeah, like I need more points. I need like all this. But granted, like
if the fishing had gone differently, it could have been a
Tate,
whole different game. If he had 15 plus points on me going into golf, I would have been stressing.
Yeah, and it's one of these things that going into the turn, Tate was only up 4. Overall score, he was up
7.
Yeah, he was up 7.
7 strokes in golf, but realistically 4 points in the tournament.
Because I was up 3 with a fish, but and honestly, I'd say that's pretty close. It was at the end, it kind of got away, and Tate got
we
ran away with
both just
it.
started. I mean, we would have double, triple bogeys, and Brent would have, 1 extra stroke than I would, and it was just like, oh man, we're both just not playing great golf. But we started off great. We had high hopes, and it was just a long day. It was hot, and I could come up with a million other golf excuses, but at the same time, I mean, it was it worked out. It was such a fun day at the end of the day, and we caught a ton of fish. We played some good golf, and we just hope that you guys would enjoy all of it because we had a fun time doing it.
Yeah, well, we are going to do more of them, whether or not this video does well, because we enjoyed it so much. And it's one of these things that, like we were talking about, looking back on it, we're like, honestly, we could do golf first and then fishing. It doesn't have to be specifically like fishing and then golf. For sure,
the format of the videos can definitely change. The point system can change. We can do a scramble with other people as far as the golf goes.
It could also be like time of year. Like if something's real, like it would be tough to do tarpon, but like it would be like specific. Like if something's like really going off, like if we go offshore, we could do like a grouper one or a snapper one or something like that.
Exactly. Maybe the most fish in the box for that person on an offshore day.
Keepers.
Most keepers. Exactly.
So there's different variations we could do. We're going to listen to everyone's opinions. We asked for people's opinions in the comments on that video specifically. Like if you had any ideas for the point total or something to like maybe make it a little more I guess even just like something to like make it a little more interesting, if that. But
for sure, and
we had a great day out there. We were like fishing, killed it.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Killed it. Golf could have been better, but you know what? It was fun.
I mean,
it was also
that's the thing. The golf was fun because we weren't getting trailed by people. We actually had time to film some shots, so it's not like we were racing to golf. Sometimes when we go out there, we got people in front of us, people right behind us, people are dropping shots on top of you, and it's just it's not as enjoyable of an experience. But today we really had the time to kind of take our time, line up our shots, get some good footage for you guys, and just have a good day in general.
And it was also something that I have never even attempted to film myself.
Golf.
And we were kind of learning as we went.
100%.
With holes that, we're by the clubhouse. There's a lot of people around. We use either the phones or maybe like a GoPro to be a little more, I don't know, discreet about it instead of whipping out an entire tripod with my my Sony and mic on top and everything, but it was kind of a learning experience. We really wanted to focus on getting the shots at the tee so we could. I'm going to go back. I haven't played with it yet, but I want to play with some shot tracers to see if I can put that in the video. But it's like one of these things that as we went on, we were kind of like learning as we went, and I'm really curious to look at the footage, and we're going to learn from it, make the golf footage a little bit better, just kind of see what works, what doesn't work, especially when it comes to editing. So these videos, especially on the golf side of things, are going to just continue to get better and better quality, better and better shots. Like, we're going to learn what to do. So,
For sure.
like we said, we hope you guys like it. Even if you don't like it, we're going to make more videos. And
You gotta love that.
I got to get that necklace off of Tate's neck because
because I'm gonna be wearing it until the next time this tournament happens. So whether or not it ends back up on Brent's neck or someone else's neck, more than likely it will stay on mine. But it's just one of those things. I mean, it can go really either way. If the fishing is super hot for one person, golf is one of those sports that really you can have a bad day and just absolutely have a bad day, no matter how good you are. Exactly. You can spiral fast.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying, like, kind of circling back about how to make this a little more even, because Tate kind of blew me out of the water at the end there. But like we were saying, every single time we're going to do this, it's going to be different. Today just happened to be a killer redfish, specifically redfish fishing day, with a lot of points, hitting the fish cap for Tate, me coming close to hitting the fish cap. Mm-hmm. And like we said, golf could be different every single day. I'm going to continue to get better. I've only been golfing since early December of last year, so not even 6 months. And
yeah, I've always definitely dabbled in golf. I've never taken it super, super seriously, nor, I mean, should anyone that's not competing do with golf. I mean, if you're not golfing every day or golfing for a living, I mean, you need to take some enjoyment out of it. And I mean, find that joy in those good shots and really just keep yourself coming back, because it is a good time once you get out there, especially with your friends.
I hope you guys know, as soon as we got back home, we came back home with dinner. We got Delco's cheesesteaks. If you guys know, then you know.
Dunedin Classic.
We got back home. We had just picked up Delco's. I rushed to my office and started looking through the footage of the golf shots while Tate and Heather were eating
immediately analyzing his swing. It's the first time he's seen his swing really on the computer, and you can immediately start dissecting it. I mean, he's just all upper body. I mean, once you start moving your hips into it, you can really start moving through the ball and just getting more distance with your shots and start feeling more confident. I will say one thing, though, that was nice about the filming is being able to talk through your shots.
Yep.
Like, okay, we have a par 3. It's 144 yards. I'm going to hit an 8-iron. The pin's at the front of the green. I'm aiming, 135 and roll it to the pin. It's just nice being able to talk through all that, because most of the time you're talking through your head and other thoughts can get in the way. But if you're speaking it out loud, it really just kind of starts to come together, or at least starts to come together in your mind to what you want to do on those golf shots.
I want to go back to the fishing. So
definitely at the fishing.
We did a little bit of an experiment without really even like trying today, where Tate freelined and I used a popping cork. And
it was a good variety, though. I'm glad that we both stuck with our guns on that one as far as keeping separate, because it did work out in different ways.
Yeah, because the main difference that we really saw, obviously, the less amount of terminal tackle that you can use while you're fishing, the better. The more subtle approach, the more, or just like the quieter or like approach is always better. But the one benefit that we had with a popping cork, or I had with a popping cork, is when we saw fish blowing up a little bit upwind, and you cannot get it there with just a free line. And using the popping cork, I was not using a split shot or anything. You could have put a split shot on, but then it's not really like a free line.
Exactly. It's going to be clunking down,
But there was at least once, I think twice, where we saw a fish blowing up and Tate couldn't reach it. And the one ended up being the biggest fish of the day, that 31-inch red.
Yeah, that thing was a tanker, dude. I mean, it hit that bait and then just took off, like almost like it was a shark, just because it was ripping lines straight out. I mean, it probably took 50, 75 yards on you immediately.
Yeah, and it was one of those ones, like we said, we never would have known that fish was there if we didn't live chum, and we would not have been able to reach that fish if I didn't have a popping cork on. So it just kind of lined up, and it's one of these things that if you have multiple people on your boat trying different techniques and strategies, we'll just kind of be able to cover a wide basis of, if you see a fish off in the distance, you have someone that can reach there. If you see one that's really close and you don't want to spook it, a free line will get it there. And we're able to capitalize today where he caught more fish. He caught 6 fish. I caught 5. I got the biggest, but it was
You got the biggest and the smallest.
Yeah, look at that. I didn't even think of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got the. Remember when we did that competition?
Gosh,
that video did not do well. If you guys have watched that video, I really appreciate you guys. That was probably 2.5, 3 years ago.
Yeah, and I haven't been on the channel in a while. We haven't been out fishing much. We both got just kind of not gone our separate ways, but I have other things kind of. I've had other things on my plate. Brent's been fishing like crazy. He's killing it. I love it.
Last time you were on the channel was Keys.
Oh, yep.
January.
Yep, that was a great time. We caught such a variety.
I
of
did
fish
get a
on
couple
that trip.
comments being like, "Captain Tater," like people recognize you. And then there was one time, oh man, I forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but it's this kid that I've met a couple times at Tailwater and different like events.
Oh, I think I remember him. Yep, 100%.
DJ.
Yep,
Shout out
totally
to DJ.
It.
And this one time I showed up with Tate, and I was like, "Hey man, nice to meet you again," and everything. And he's like, "Oh, Captain Tater, he's got a sick Pathfinder." And Tate's like, "Damn right I do."
That was the best compliment I could have gotten. Sick Pathfinder, because just I love that boat. It's always been kind of my dream boat, especially with the tower on it. It's just great. I don't get the chance to use it as much as I used to or would like to, but it's just a heck of a boat.
We filmed a couple. There's at least a couple videos on my channel on your boat. Obviously, the Scallop video was filmed on your boat. I think that was one day, maybe 2 days combined footage.
At least, yeah. Because we went scalloping like 5 days straight.
Yeah, but I only filmed like 2 of them or something.
For sure.
But I'm really looking forward to that again this year. Dude, we're apparently going to have a squad talking with...
I mean, hopefully the scalloping is as good as it was last year, because if it's not, then there's going to be a lot of disappointed people out there. So that's for sure.
When I was... I did a podcast with the Insane Fishing guys. They fish up. One of them's a charter guy, Dustin, charter guy out of Anclote. And I brought up scalloping and whether they would go scalloping or whatever. And they're like, "No, we don't normally do," or whatever. And I told him, like, "Yeah, apparently last year was like the best year it's ever been, like Pasco County." And he said, "Yeah, because they started planting them out there."
Interesting.
So apparently they took like baby scallops and released them in Pasco recently in the past like couple years, and that's I guess it's like salmon where they like return back to like where they're like born or wherever they like leave from or whatever. So since they started doing that, that's why the numbers were so good last year, because I was like the first like big wave of them coming back.
Very interesting.
So
hopefully there's another big wave that comes in, because definitely, I mean, a lot of people were out there on that scallop season.
My God.
It was a madhouse. It was like how you would imagine Crystal River is on the scallop season, but I heard Crystal River wasn't as good on scallop season. So
it was wild because we were directly like, I am talking like 20 yards north of the Pinellas Pasco line.
Exactly. That line is, they keep that line very well defined on scallop season. You have to be
right. Yeah, they have, it's either FWC or Sheriff or a combo, but they have them patrolling right at the Anclote Lighthouse. You have to be just north of that, and they are patrolling that line, and they're on their megaphone like yelling out, and they're just like, "If you are south of us and you are diving for scallops, like, you will be boarded and you will be like charged or whatever." So you have to be north of that. They make it very clear, but it was right at that line. We're like 20, 50 yards north of that line, but right there in that little section, right there at that grass flat, 300 boats. All within.
I mean, there was probably close to 1,000 boats out there
that you could see
day.
Like off on the horizon.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
But I mean, yeah, right on that line, there was every bit of 300 boats.
it was wild. Even on the weekdays, we tried going on the weekdays. Granted, we would go out and in about 2 to 3 hours, we would on the weekday get our limit, whether it was just Tate and I or if we had people on board. It's 2 gallons per person or 10 gallons per boat, whichever's less. We would get our limit in about less than 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, especially when it was just us, we were really just able to dive down. I mean, we were getting 6+ on just a free dive down there, just scooping them up, basically. I mean,
Oh, at a time, yeah. Like in our
Exactly.
hands, like we were literally dropping them because we couldn't even hold them at a time.
exactly.
And then you talk to people that go to Crystal River, and
On that same year.
same year, last year, they were like, we went to Crystal River, and as a boat with like 6 people, like they would take like pontoon boats. I've talked to a couple people. They're like, yeah, we took pontoon boats out, and we would be happy if we came back with like 2 gallons total. People were coming down from Crystal River to Pasco to try and get it, and it's we were eating scallops out of our freezer until January.
So many. I mean, like, enough scallops to not really want scallops until next scallop season.
Yeah.
I mean,
We were getting to the point where, like we said, we did it 5 days in a row. So the last 5 days in a row.
yeah.
And on the 4th and 5th day, I would like dive once at the very beginning for like half hour, 45 minutes, and I would come back to the boat, like eat some snacks, and I'm just like, I'll let everyone else dive.
For sure.
After
for
doing
sure.
it for 4 or 5 days straight,
And
I was just like,
yeah.
I'm so tired
Towards
of
the
this.
end, too, the tides started changing, and I wouldn't say it was necessarily tougher to find the scallops,
Deeper.
but yeah, it was sometimes where the spots we were when we started, it got too deep for us to free dive comfortably. Like, there was a lot of people with scuba tanks that were just basically scooping them up for the whole day. But once you move into some really deeper grass, and the grass is almost like knee deep or waist deep, it's tough to really dig down and find those scallops at the very bottom. So it just it changed throughout the days, but at the same time, I mean, we didn't leave there without scallops any day.
Yeah. Like we were saying, I think the last day, the Sunday or whatever it was the only day we left before getting our limit. We could have stayed. I think we had 4 people on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we ended up with getting like a little, I think like 6 gallons. We could have got 8. I think we got 6 gallons, and we're just like, you know what, that's fine. But like I was saying, this upcoming year, JC is going to try and get his boat out. I got my boat. You're going to have your boat. Apparently Cameron's going to try and get a boat and meet us out there.
Hey,
I want to bring my
Cameron.
floating mat. I want to like...
it's gonna be a party of a week, really. It's just gonna be a nice, fun week where we really get to hang out with a lot of our friends and hopefully get on a bunch of scallops, you know?
Yeah, and come back and be shucking for like 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah, our hands were raw after that week, just coming back home every day and just shucking scallops. I mean, we shucked them in my pool, we shucked them in Brent's backyard. I mean, it was just
the term shucking them in the pool.
Yeah.
Like we were literally like on the edge of the pool, like standing in the pool, like shucking scallops and just dropping them in.
for
some
sure.
ice.
We just tried to make it as enjoyable as possible. I mean, it was just a fun week in general. But
Yeah. And in summer, it's like one of these things you go out and it rains every single day at 2 p.m. from like 2 until 4. So we'd go out from, I don't even know, 9 until 12 until 1, run back in, beat the storms, like get some lunch, and then shuck after the rain's already done. And
Yep.
we got into a rhythm of that. And it was like one of these things like you go out, dive for 2 hours, get your scallops, come back, shuck them for 2 hours. Everyone kind of departs. You sleep it off because you're exhausted, and you just wake up early and do it all over again. And we did that for 5 days straight, and I was so tired. At
Yeah,
the end
I
of
mean,
that.
that's the thing. We scalloped enough to not want to scallop until next year.
Yep.
I mean,
Oh.
that's what it came down to.
It's
but
one
it
of
was
the benefits of a 10-day season for us, I guess.
exactly. We had the time to really enjoy it and almost get tired of it too. But
Yeah.
again, you know, what's enjoyable about a short season is you can really go after it for those days, and then be ready for next year, you know?
Yeah. And also coming up in summer is it's like the one type of fishing I feel like you still get like really excited about, and that's the tarpon. Are you still? Did you
100%.
even try last year for tarpon?
Last year, no. Last year, I really didn't get after it. The year before, I was able to land one by myself,
Yeah.
which
Well,
was awesome.
you weren't by yourself.
Yep,
You were with Hurley
I
Girl.
had my Vizsla on the boat, my Hurley Girl. And yeah, that was just a fun time. It was about an 80, 90-pound fish. But,
So wait, what happened with that story again about you trying to get that picture?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, this fish had worked me. I mean, he dragged me, I mean, half a mile offshore and then started swimming at the beach once he started getting tired. So I was able to work him back to the beach. I was just on the trolling motor remote and just fighting this fish. I mean, it was an hour-long fight, but I was just getting chased around. This fish kept rolling, and I just I couldn't gain on him too much. So I decided at one point, I was like, all right, I'm going to land this fish on the beach because I know that once I can get my hand on its mouth, and it was a little rough offshore too, so it was just going to be tough for me to land it by myself on the boat without breaking my rod or just, you know, Hurley going in the water after the fish. So decided we were going to chase this fish in, and I basically beached my boat once the fish was 100 yards offshore, and yeah, once I got the fish within 15, 20 yards, I found some random lady just walking on the beach. And I said, I've been fighting this fish for like an hour. Here's my phone. I'm going to land it right now. Please take some pictures for me. And she's like, oh my God, that's awesome. That's like, sounds great. So I was like, thank you. That's awesome. And once I got this fish close, I mean, Hurley saw it and she started going after it. I mean, barking at it, started like trying to nip at this tarpon. And I had to shoo her away so I could actually land it. But once I did, this lady took some great pictures, and I was just super grateful for her. And it was just a fun day in general, about as good as a day of solo fishing for tarpon could have gone while still getting great pictures of the fish and landing it.
I was out of town, and you, I think, just sent me that photo, and I was like, "That's sick, man!" Like,
Who were you with?
yeah, I was like, "Who'd you fish with?" And you were like, "Oh, just by myself." And it took like a minute in my head for it to click on me back.
Who took that picture?
How'd you get that photo? Oh, George think I said who's there. He's such a good boy.
Well, I'm surprised she didn't bark.
But I remember pretty much, I think it was the first tarpon video on the channel was with you and Jordan Stratton.
Oh, yep.
And
that was a good day. Jordan landed that.
That was your boat, wasn't it?
Yep, that was on the Pathfinder. Because, yeah, I was in the tower and while we were chasing some of those fish.
Yeah, and it's a video that's done relatively well. Maybe some of you guys that are watching this have seen that one. It was honestly probably like 3 years
ago,
at this point, like 3 summers ago now. And we went out, and in one afternoon, I hooked up, mine popped off. We got our hands on. And
exactly, and that's another cool thing,
more.
too. We were able to land that other fish from the beach, too. So, I mean, landing those tarpon from the beach is just awesome. I mean, it's a whole different experience when you're, chest deep in water about to try and grab this fish's mouth to, land
That was so
them.
cool.
Yeah.
I really want to do that this upcoming summer, is like to be out there fishing with someone. When you're fishing by yourself, that's really tough unless like
It's
you
so
have to
tough to
find an
land
old
them,
lady
too.
walking the beach to like help you out.
And
But
if that lady is watching, you were not old. You were a great lady. You were just trying to get some exercise on the beach, but I do appreciate you.
But I think it's where if you had someone else on the boat, it's a lot easier to just like kind of get. Well, it's like one of those like fine balance.
For
where
sure,
it's like,
you can get a leader touch by yourself on the boat, and it's like, okay, I landed that fish, because that's 100% a landed fish if you get a leader touch on a tarpon. I mean,
Yeah.
100%.
Everyone will agree with that.
But at the same time, it is also nice to get some pictures with the fish, and that's not always everything. But at the same time, if you're alone, you tell someone that you caught a fish of a certain size. I mean, they can't believe you unless you really show them a picture. So
Yeah, and in the state of Florida, at least, I actually don't know about other states. I think in like Texas, it doesn't matter. But if tarpon is over 40 or 45 inches long, you're not allowed to take them fully out of the water.
Fully out of the water, yeah.
You see all the typical, like, holding them by the jaw, like, pictures like that, but there's something about that picture of you at the beach, kind of, like,
Half
cradling
submerged.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, cradling it, having it, like, its belly and, like, half its body, like, in the water, but taking a picture like that is just so cool. And it's one of these things that, like, I dream of the day that, like, I hook, like, a big tarpon, and instead of taking me offshore, it fights me by the beach. So I'm able to do that because it's one of these things. I'm not gonna take a tarpon that towed me half mile, full mile offshore.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna like grab its jaw and then like turn the trolling motor to the beach and just be like, all right, let's go. Like it's got to be like the right situation. It sounds like yours was like the perfect situation.
Exactly. It took me offshore, and then as soon as it started rolling, getting tired, it just started heading right back to the beach. So I was basically trolling motoring right next to it for a little while. But, I mean, not right next to it. I mean, it was 30 yards off the side of the boat.
Yeah.
But it was just swimming at the beach. So I just decided, okay, I'm going to start going at the beach too instead of fighting this fish backwards. And it really helped tire it out, honestly, because once it got to the beach, it was only about a 10, 15-minute fight after that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, man. As soon as we really started talking about tarpon, I just think back to pretty much every Keys trip, or at least recently. Well, I guess we could really talk about like any Keys trip, tarpon, because back in the day, we've actually there's actually at least one video of us dock fishing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
don't you tell them where it is.
Yeah, at the
dock. Where we would go out and there's a dock, bunch of lights. There would be some greenbacks hanging on the lights. All you do is drop a sabiki down. We didn't even tie up the sabiki a couple times. I think I was literally like dropping it by hand and pulling it up.
Yeah, there was greenies kind of all over the place.
Put them in a bait bucket. You get like 4 in there.
Mm-hmm.
You just hook one up and you throw it either out in the darkness or if you want to try and hook a tarpon in the light. And we would hook and play with these tarpon until like 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And then we would come back, sleep for like 4 hours, and be ready to fish again in the morning. And that was, well, I guess it couldn't have been that long ago. 3 years ago?
3 years ago, yeah.
But now we found a new place that we stay at when we go to the Keys because now we bring the boat, we trailer the boat down.
And it's, having the boat there is just a great time too. I mean, not having to pay for a really expensive charter and just being able to figure some stuff out on your own while you're in the Keys is a great time. I mean,
there's some sort of like, there's pride to it, I think, of being on your own boat and being able to take it to a location that you really don't know and still be able to find some fish. My big thing is taking it down to the Keys and trying offshore. I dream about the idea of going out getting like wahoo in the Keys. That's like one of my bucket list things. I want
just
wahoo.
all the pelagic fish. Yeah,
I want a wahoo on my boat at some point. I want to be able to catch one on my own boat. Like, yes, you could get one on this coast, but it's more likely than not going to happen in the Keys at some point. Catching the blackfins, that was super cool.
They're a lot easier to target in the Keys.
Yes. Mahi in the summer. You can just go out there and troll the weed lines. That's super fun. It's just a whole new environment. And then obviously it's just littered with tarpon down there pretty much year round.
Yeah, they're basically just pets down there. I mean,
and at this one place that we stay at, you're allowed to fish from the dock. There's also like a fillet table right there. And a lot of times when we're filleting or like people are filleting, these tarpon get fired up and then we just take like a little chunk of skin, but they're smart.
Very smart fish. If they see that line or they see that hook, it's over. It's got to be embedded in some type of skin or
and you have
meat.
One shot. We tell everyone this, like when we're filleting, or someone else is filleting and they're like give it or whatever, you have one shot because one of these fish is going to eat it. They're going to freak out and no other fish is going to eat again for like pretty much the rest of that like session. Like you're going to have to do like a full reset, pretty much like
for sure.
Maybe even the next day. And
they spook for hours at least after that. Yeah,
and it's because some of them are real big there. At the other place, like typically we were getting like on the
15 pounder
greenbacks.
max.
Yeah, I remember one time, because sometimes you would cast out into the darkness. A lot of times we were trying to, like, I guess, sight fish them. They're swimming in and out of the light, and you, like, pitch it to them, and then you see them kind of turn sideways and then smoke it.
Yeah, roll on it.
But every once in a while, when it was maybe, like, a little tough and they weren't really eating, I'd pitch one out into the darkness, and you would feel, like, the pop on your line, and you would reel down, and like we said, it would normally be, like, a 15, 20-pounder. I remember one time, we're also throwing, I need to preface this, we're throwing, like, 4Ks max.
Yeah, I mean, we were not going for big tarpon. We were just we were trying to have fun with the 15 and below pounders.
We're throwing like 25-pound leader, like 2-0 hooks and 4Ks. I remember one time I pitched it out into the darkness and I get hit and I reel down and I realize like, oh, this fish is kind of swimming at me. And I just kind of keep catching up to it. And this fish swam from the darkness and kind of swam right to the dock and started swimming like parallel to like the long side of the dock. And it like kind of came up and I saw its eyes and its back, and this thing was 6 feet long. Gosh. And I'm just like literally walking down the dock, like walking like my pet tarpon. And as soon as I get to the end of the dock and I actually have to like give it some drag, it just starts freaking out. And just ran, like, it jumped once, and I survived the jump somehow, but then it jumped a second time, like, way further out, and then it popped me there.
The fish probably had you 200 yards out before you could even realize what happened.
It would have. No, it would have. It got me, like, 50 yards out, and then
it popped jumped
me.
again,
Dude,
yeah.
I would have got spooled. I would have had to cup it and just pop it at that point.
For sure. You just have no chance on a fish like that with a reel like that, you know?
No, But, like, when we're fishing here and we're fishing off the beach, we are actually ready for that. We're throwing, like...
Exactly.
8Ks.
6K, 8K at least.
Yeah.
And you're on a boat, too, so you can chase them. I mean, it's different when you're fishing from land and have to stop them.
Yeah. And then that one time, were you there when the shark encounter happened?
With the tarpon?
Yeah.
I don't think so. That could have been you and Garrett, maybe.
Yeah, it was. I think it was Garrett actually, or maybe like Adam or something.
If it was Adam, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. We were fishing the dock at night and doing the same thing, pitching greenbacks, hooking tarpon all night, and it was where I don't want to give anything away. Where
all you Key West folks,
the light was where it enters and exits at the edge of it. That's where I was kind of like pitching my baits out there because they're all swimming out there,
right on that shadow line.
Yep. I remember I was just kind of like seeing them kind of swimming in and out, and then I saw like two just like run into the light, like full steam into the light. And then all I see is this. I never saw the head of it, but like the just body and dorsal fin of what had to have been like a 14-foot hammer.
Oh my god!
And it just like come to me and like turn to its left. So like all I see is just like this huge, probably like 4-foot tall body, but then like another like 4-foot tall dorsal.
Yeah, and those hammers have the biggest dorsals, dude.
Right on the shadow line, and then tail just flipped once and it was gone. And I was just like, oh. And those tarpon were spooked for like a half hour and just would not like touch anything. They were literally hugging the dock, like in the pilings of the dock, and would not leave it.
Yeah, they don't make too many small things down there in the Keys. It's just a great place to go. Honestly, I love that place.
It's one of these
Key West, Alamorada. I mean, you name it. It's just a good time, no matter where you go in the Keys.
And it's still, for us here in the Tampa Bay area, it's not too much out of the way. It is, especially when trailing a boat. It's not like
you can get to the southernmost point of Key West in 8 hours from where we are, and that's It's a long drive, especially towing a boat, but at the same time, I mean, once you get to the Keys in that 4.5 hour range, you're almost just looking around, kind of like, oh, we're going over a nice bridge. You're seeing beautiful water. I mean, it's just an enjoyable experience as soon as you get down there.
It's a completely different world. It
It
is.
almost feels like you're not in the U.S. anymore. It's almost like a tropical
Yeah.
island, you know?
I mean, you leave from a cruise out of Tampa, and where does it take you? Key West. And it's like,
Exactly.
you're just like, what is this? It just feels like a complete, like everyone there is just so laid back.
It's
So,
a very
like,
island vibe, you know?
yeah, they're on island time. And then you just, I don't know, it's something about it. We love it. We love going down there. We try and do it.
At least once a year, if not
At least
twice.
once. We want to try and do it twice a year. We really
Yeah.
want to try and do a summer and a winter.
And and
roughly.
that's the thing too. The more we go, the more, especially with the boat, we're able to kind of see like, okay, when we go in this month, this is what we're catching.
Yep.
If we go the same month next year, are we still going to be able to catch those same fish? And as we are there more often, we're just able to kind of plan our trip around what month or what fish we're going to catch, and it just makes it that much more enjoyable.
We learn so much every single time we go down there.
Exactly.
Last time we learned where to cast net ballyhoo. We learned a good spot to cast net ballyhoo. Wish we had better conditions to fish like offshore with a ballyhoo, but
Yeah,
that's just good
it
to
was
know
a bit
for
rough
next
that last time.
Ballyhoo worked great. The patch reefs too, if you want to chunk them up for the yellowtails or like maybe drop them on the bottom for some muttons. But we also found a good spot inshore. I guess you could call it inshore. Key West version of inshore, inside the reef. Like,
For sure, not necessarily shallow, not necessarily deep, but you could still very much see land. So it's
yeah,
it's
because
kind of
we got beat up the day before. In the video, in the last Key West video I posted in January when we literally brought the brand new boat down, I didn't show any footage from the first full day of fishing that we did.
yeah.
It was only the second day.
Yeah.
And the reason that happened, I think I did record a little bit of it. It was not calm. We fished the patch reefs in at least twos.
At
At least twos. And
in the bay boat too. So we're not in a big offshore
brand
boat,
new
you
boat.
know. Yeah.
We broke in that boat.
Yes.
And we're fishing the patch reefs. We're catching, I don't know, yellowtails. We got a couple keeper size, nothing crazy. Maybe like 3 or 4 keeper yellowtails in like a half hour. Bunch of shorts. And I was just like, you know what? It can't be that much worse past the reef, past a drop off. I want to try and hit this wreck. It's something I've been wanting to do since the last time we're in the Keys, is vertical jig this wreck because we hooked a couple big AJs. We're assuming big AJs.
Yes.
Hooked a couple big fish off this wreck. I really want to get out there. So I convinced Tate, I convinced Cameron and Hannah.
It was that much worse out there.
Oh my God.
That is all I can say.
4s, 5s, I don't even know.
The motors dipping in and out of the water. I mean, it's just.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
you're looking across the horizon, and when you're in the trough of the wave, you're pretty damn close to eye level.
You're
the next
seeing
wave
water
coming
and
at
then
you.
horizon, water and then horizon.
And Tate
I didn't have the best of times. I'll say that straight up.
Tate kind of has some tendencies when it comes to bad waves.
Exactly. I mean, I almost never used to be like that, especially in the CV days when we had that offshore boat. We were able to pretty much get out there and just do
whatever
it all.
Conditions. Yeah,
whatever conditions, and I was fine too. But at the same time, I hadn't started, or I kind of hadn't been fishing nearly as much as I had been. So let's just say I kind of lost my sea legs a little bit, especially out there in those 4s and 5s in the Keys in that bay boat. It was just a little bit tougher.
It was rough. It was not a pretty scene. Long story short, we tried going to that wreck, and we lasted there honestly way longer than we should have. We were there for probably like a half hour. And
we wanted the fish to be there more than they were actually there.
We put a free line ballyhoo out. We're trying for the black fins that we heard, and maybe a wahoo. And I was doing the vertical jig. I think I got one almaco.
And that's the other thing. We couldn't even get on plane when we were leaving too. So
we just had to chug
we had to troll out of there, which was also just like getting beat up.
That ride out was the most wet I've been while driving a boat.
Yeah.
I was just like, what? And we got to the spot, and I'm just like, it is just not ideal. And
For sure.
I'm like, oh, there's no other boats out here.
And
why?
We've made the crossing to Bimini in 8s. I mean, it's been super rough before.
My first time driving only
bigger
done it twice.
offshore
I've
boat.
only done it twice. Oh yeah, my first time even driving a bigger offshore boat
Exactly.
ever. Also, my first time ever doing a crossing from Miami to Bimini.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
There was
fives,
swell. The Gulf
5
Stream
to
was just
6s.
kicking our butt.
There were water spouts coming down. My
Storms everywhere.
storms there when we were running in, we see Bimini straight ahead of us. We had not
5 miles. 5 miles to go, maybe.
yeah, no autopilot, but we had it like marked like straight ahead, just keep going. We see the island. And to the left and to the right are storms that are somehow
Converging on
growing
each other.
into each other, like perfect storm kind of thing.
Oh my god.
Water spouts. We see water spouts going off everywhere.
And then the island just disappears right in front of us. We're like going towards this island. It's a real place, and then it just disappears. And we're like,
into
okay.
dark gray. So we literally had to stop, and we're just like, okay, what do we do? Do we wait for it to pass? Like, where are these storms going? I had my radar going. I was just kind of like really like storm watching.
While trying to learn everything on that brand new boat too at the time.
And after like 20 minutes of just sitting there, like a gap opens up. I'm like, I'm just gonna run it. Storms
This is
are popping
after
up.
getting shocked by the T-top too. There was so much static electricity in the air that just by touching the T-top, it would like jolt you almost.
You literally touch any metal on that boat just from the electricity. It shocked you a little bit. But there was one time specifically, we were running. We were on plane as much as we could do in fives. We're still doing probably like close to 30 in this boat, ripping it. Tate was seasick and sore for days.
I was sitting at the front of the boat. I should have had a beanbag and been at the very back.
Yeah,
but this was...
we learned.
Yeah, we learned as we go, you know.
But I am driving the boat, and I had my left hand on the piping of the T-top and right hand on the wheel. And storms to the left, storms to the right. A bolt of lightning came down, had to have been 50 yards away from us.
Yeah, I mean, enough to feel the lightning, you know. Just
well, what happened was, it was like a millisecond before it came down. My hand literally got shocked off of the T-top, and then the bolt of lightning came down. Like, it was like, and I was just like,
gosh.
I'm like, dude, we need to like floor it. We need to get out of here. We survived, if you guys were wondering. We're alive right now.
We did make it to Bimini. We had a great trip, and then the ride back was actually kind of beautiful. If I remember correctly.
If I don't remember, it was a great ride.
I do remember. It was fun.
And then the next year, it was glass, and we're running like 60 across the Gulf
glass
Stream.
there and the way back. I mean, we went from a 4-hour trip just to get to Bimini
to like 50
to
minutes.
an hour ride back, and then the next time we went, it was an hour ride there, hour ride back. So that Gulf Stream is super unpredictable, and just the whole east coast of Florida. I mean, if you're running offshore, it can get nasty quick. You just got to be prepared, you know.
Yeah. So when are we doing this running our bay boats? When are we going to buddy boat it out there?
The bay boat run could be tough. Because if that Gulf Stream kicks up, dude, it's just so unpredictable. You really have to plan that trip. I mean, you can't plan the trip based around how long you want to be there. You have to plan the trip based on the weather windows of how you can get there and get back.
I think the scary thing is you could literally get like stuck there, especially if you're in a smaller boat. If you don't plan it right, like if something comes up that like the weatherman wasn't predicting or something, you kind of have to be both financially and just like mentally prepared that like you could be there for more days than you were planning.
For sure.
Dude, unless I don't even know what you could do, like fly back and leave your boat and then come back at some other time.
For sure,
like,
but then who do you trust to watch your boat while you're there? It's just one of those things where it's unless you have a boat capable of really taking that weather, no matter what the conditions are. It's just a tough trip to plan around. But also, once you do have that boat, it's it's a fun trip. I mean, it's 55 miles from Lauderdale or Miami to
which is really not that bad.
Not at all, especially if you live on the Gulf Coast. I mean, 55 miles on the Gulf Coast gets you 150 feet of water.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not very deep. But
that's one thing that like it's crazy whenever it's so different when you're talking to people from Tampa versus people from, I don't know, Fort Lauderdale.
Just the east coast of Florida.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, you go 2 miles out, you go past the reef or whatever. It's kind of the same situation as like Key West. So there's like a reef and then there's a drop off.
Mm-hmm.
You go 2 miles, you're in 200 feet of water. Oh my God. From clear water, if you were to run out to try and get to 200 feet of water,
I mean, yeah.
unless you run south, if you're running directly west out of Clearwater, you are going, dude, I don't even know if 80 miles will get you to 200 feet of water.
It's crazy. The Gulf Coast of Florida. I mean, you can run 100 miles offshore and you can be bottom fishing. You know, I mean it's crazy.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Uh-oh.
What are right now your top 3 fish to catch? If you were taking your boat out by yourself to catch fish, which 3 are you going to try and catch? Let's assume every fish is like in season. It's like peak time. What are you wanting to go get?
I mean, yeah, the Gulf Coast tarpon, when they're really firing, is just a fun time. I mean, you see them rolling. You can almost sight cast them sometimes, and it's not a super hard type of fishing either. You can do it by yourself, not necessarily land them by yourself, but they're a super fun fish and they're super rewarding to catch just because they're so elusive per se. So hard to keep on the hook. Gosh, as far as the other two, it's just it gets tougher, you know. I mean,
so it's a pretty
if I'm in
steady
my
tarpon
boat
first.
Yeah, if I'm in my boat per se, I don't like to necessarily take my boat too far offshore and beat it up, just because I know that if the weather turns, you know, it's that Pathfinder doesn't have much of a bow flare, or dead rise, or anything like that. So it's I mean, it's a full blown bay flats boat.
Yep.
So I mean, I really have to end with saying the redfish and snook.
I remember
I do like the redfish more than the snook. The snook are just a little too picky for my liking, but they are super rewarding to catch as well. But the redfish, you can get just a lot more quantity most times, and that's fun. Like today, we were able to catch 11 redfish. Not a single one was under slot, and we caught some that were, 30 or over. So those 30-inch redfish are bulldogging you. I mean, they're just
on the reels that we were using, on the size reels or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. And especially, I mean, we were only in a couple feet of water, so there you can see them splashing, you can see them pushing, and yeah, it's just super fun. And I gotta say too, like another one of those fish is like the black drum.
I was gonna say
those are so much fun to catch. I mean, they're like fishing for small Goliath grouper, which I love doing too. But after a certain amount of time, you know, you catch so many Goliath grouper, and it's like, okay, those things just beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
And they're rewarding once you get them up, but at the same time, you know, it's tough. I mean, you got to have a big reel or you got to hand line them, and both are not necessarily easy, but it's just fun, especially if you have someone on the boat that's not seen too many fishing or been fishing too many times. They go crazy over a fish that's 300-400 pounds.
Especially if you can drop a hand line down. Well, it's one of these things.
Exactly.
I guess I haven't really talked about this on the podcast. The difference between going for Goliath grouper with a hand line
and rod
versus a rod and reel. Because we use, Tate's got the freaking Mac Daddy of them all, conventional reels.
We used to do a lot of land-based shark fishing, and you need just a lot of line and a lot of drag, and it was one of those things where you put that investment up for the good rod and reel, and it'll last a lifetime, and it's just a cool piece to have as well.
What is it?
It's a dual 12-0 wide, so it literally reels regular, like forward is high speed, and then you just crank the reel the opposite way, and it goes low speed. So you can almost just winch these fish up. You go forward, backward, and it's just a fun time.
Yeah.
But after you do it, a lot of times it becomes just more so tough, less fun. But if you have the people on the boat that make it fun, it's a great time.
Yeah.
It's all about the people that you're with too. I mean, catching those fish and having those memories with the good friends is all really what it's about.
Yeah. To go back, I'm giving her love. Don't you worry. I'm rubbing her leg right now.
Made her podcast debut. Can we take a second and talk about how we used to go out on the boat with Zebco 202s and catch massive bonita? We would go out and find schooling bonita offshore And we had caught so many bonita so consistently at the time that we basically just decided, okay, let's have fun with these fish. And we would use basically push button Zebcos and catch these bonita that were borderline spooling us, but at the same time having having a blast. It was just
Zepcos, ice fishing rods.
the ice fishing rods, you know, the $2, $3 setups that they sell at Walmart. You know, it's just
loaded down with like 4-pound braid, and we're just like, all right, let's try and catch a bonita on it. We were so consistent where we'd go to these wrecks with just crap ton of live bait, and you
just get them chummed up. Yep.
And they're blowing up beyond the boat. I remember one time we went to Walmart and just got like stupid lures for like $1.50
yeah, like
each.
a fishing challenge, and we just did like how many like do bonita like frogs.
Yeah, we were throwing
and just
frogs.
Get them
we're throwing like
chummed up.
We're throwing like worms. We're throwing like all these different lures that we're getting for Walmart for like $1.50, and then you get one to hit it, and it's just demolished. But you're just like, that was sick. That was before we were even like filming. We're just doing that for kind of us.
Exactly. We were just having such a good time, really, just fishing.
We were big.
And we just taking new people out too. I mean, we would just go out and take people that we hadn't taken fishing before, and just have just a good time, really.
We were big into doing that, and then dropping for Goliath, and that was just our freaking MO. That
because it was just one of those things where you could take people out that especially don't have much fishing experience and put them on a bonita on a rod that almost is going to get spooled, and they're like, this is the biggest fish ever.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know anything else. And then when you pull up a Goliath on a bonita that they caught earlier in the day, it's just mind-boggling to them.
I remember we took people that do like fly fishing, and they're normally, I don't know, like getting like redfish in shallow water, maybe like trout or snook or whatever. And you get out there and they throw the fly rod because you just have all these bonita chummed up, and they hook up on the fly rod, and this thing is screaming line like they've never seen before, and just like the look on their face doing that.
For sure.
It was just something I was like relatively super simple to do. Like you're able to find the bait, you go out to these wrecks, you throw it out there, you're gonna bring something to the boat, whether it's bonita, whether it's mackerel, kingfish. Sometimes the amberjacks would come up. Sometimes a freaking snapper would come up. I remember there'd be a couple times we would be doing that, and we'd throw a free line out, and we'd get snapper doing that.
Yep. It's just that satisfaction too, like seeing those people on those fish. I mean, it's the satisfaction that the captains get putting people on fish, and
yeah,
I mean, yeah, those captains out there every day. I mean, they are tough.
Yeah.
Being out on the water every single day, especially with clients and people that don't know how to fish.
You can do it consistently.
Just being able to consistently put people on fish is such a hard thing.
Yeah.
And just knowing how the fish habit works, and you got to have the utmost respect for the captains that are out there every single day killing it, because they are working hard as hell.
There's a for the TV show I've done some filming for in the past, they have one specific captain out of Anklet that his name's Will Burback. I would talk to him quite a bit, and I was just like, how often do you go fishing? And he, without like hesitating, told me every day I can, even if I don't have a client, just because he'll go out just so he knows where the fish are every single day, so he doesn't feel like any of those days that he does have a client, he's not like, oh, I haven't been out in 3 days, I don't really know where they are.
And that dude, it's so crazy.
He will spend every single day he can out there fishing, even if he's not getting paid.
For those guys, it's just an addiction. You know, that's all they care. That's all they think about. They're just fishing. What are those fish doing? How can I stay on those fish? How can I get the bigger end of those fish? I mean, it's just. Yeah, the utmost respect for those captains that are out there killing it every single day.
Yeah,
it's really crazy.
Guys like me that go out there once a week, and I'm just like,
yeah. Well, I mean, we caught 11 beautiful redfish today.
Lucky today. I will say I got on those fish last week, and I was just like, let's try this. Worked out. That doesn't happen very often.
Exactly.
Where it works out that well. There's so many times where I'm like, hey, I got on fish. It could literally be 2 days before. I'm like, dude, we got on a bunch of fish here. We'll go out the pretty much same tide. We'll have the same bait. They'll be gone. And you have to be, if you want to be on top of the fish like these hardcore guys, like these people that are catching these fish consistently every single day. You need to be out there as much as you can.
You got to have that
possibly.
addiction. You have to just need to know what those fish are doing every single day.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I get lucky every once in a while, like I did today. It's because I went out there Saturday with Cameron and Hannah. We tried going to that spot.
Yeah, we tried catching some trout at the end of the day too, and it was just a little
good
tougher.
point. Because we literally tried going to that spot where we got the redfish. Granted, it was somewhat same wind, south wind, and we positioned on the point first.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, let's fish a point. Didn't get anything. And then guess what? Saturday, freaking people who were fishing a point comes right up next to me, parks right at that mangrove island. I'm like, I could throw my popping cork onto the deck of his boat if I wanted to. And I was just like, whatever. So then we left, went to Three Rooker, but then we went to that trout spot, killed it. We got a bunch of trout. We were throwing slam shades. We were throwing live bait. Pretty much every time we threw live bait, like within 30 seconds, doop, bobber goes down, trout. Today, able to get all the redfish that we weren't able to get the other day. Tried getting some trout. They weren't there. It is just, it's one of these things.
It's a daily thing, you know.
It changes every single day. You can try and act like you have everything dialed in unless you're out there every single day like these hardcore guys and actually seeing the changes when it comes to the tide, when it comes to the moon phase, when it comes to every single factor
you can
could
try
ever
and know
think
as
of.
much as
Fronts,
you can, but those fish will surprise you every single
water
time.
temperature, fronts. Yeah, there's about 17 different factors that you could think of that will affect the fish in different ways every single day. Hi, early girl. Yeah.
Oh, necklace broke.
Broke?
Just came loose a little bit. At 24 karat gold, you got to be a little careful of.
Yeah, gold isn't the hardest metal in the world. It's very pliable, but you know what?
It's just so heavy it broke the snap ring.
Did it actually break?
But no, it didn't break. It just came loose.
Well, thank God I know someone that could weld it.
Yeah, I do weld every once in a while.
If you need any
high-end TIG welding fabrication.
I'll let you get the mic close to your face and talk to it.
Yes, if you need high-end TIG welding and fabrication, Tate's Welding and Fabrication, TWF, is your company. That's for sure. That's the shout out. That's all we're going to talk about it.
But how do they reach you?
Oh, you can reach me at 727-215-1868, or you can email me at Tate's Welding and Fabrication. That's TATE.
I was hoping the camera that would be close in on your face was gonna be there, and Hurley was just licking my
Hurley
leg.
was right in the way.
Hurley was right in the way, just licking my leg, trying to get all the freaking salty sweat off my legs or whatever.
Oh my gosh! But no, thanks for the shout out. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's a fishing channel. We gotta have.
It's a fishing and golf channel. Get it right.
Wow. Yeah, fishing and golf.
My goal, as you guys saw, was swing it right back to the golf. Yeah, swing it. Look at that.
Oh wow.
Today, I shot a clean 120.
Listen, that's tough to say out loud.
Oh, I'll say it with pride.
But it was yeah.
So
we're getting better as we go, and it's not the easiest course out there at Clearwater, but at the same time, it's fun to have that challenge.
Yeah,
it only betters you.
So we play a lot of scrambles. We go out, we have fun.
The scrambles that we play are super fun, and just having that extra. I mean, if you hit a bad shot, it's not like it's going to affect your score unless the two other guys on your scramble team have also bad shots. So it's one of those things that gives you a little bit more confidence when you get out there and play that golf.
Yeah, I'd say 80% of the golf I've ever played in my entire life has been a scramble.
Yes.
I think I've only played my own shot completely through 4 times now. And it's one of these things I need to get better at. I think my best round I've ever done by myself was 105. If I got a 45 and a 55, 45 on the front, 55 on the back, yeah.
That's 100.
That is 100.
That's math, guys.
That is 100.
45 plus 55 is 100, in case you guys needed a calculator for that.
Numbers guy here, as you guys can clearly tell.
But no, I mean, golf is a numbers game. It's all about percentages and managing your misses and just trying to get the best possible look at the next shot that you can. So it's a super mental game, but there's a lot of skill that goes into it too. I mean, not a lot of people are great at golf,
You know
but
what
there's
we
a lot
need
of
to
people
do?
that play golf. So it's one of those things, man. Just like fishing, really. I mean, it you need a little bit of luck every once in a while. I mean, if you get a good kick off of a hill, or if a fish is swimming by your line, I mean, it's almost the same kind of luck.
You know what we need to do?
Uh-oh.
We need to combine them completely. Bring rods to the courses. Whoever can catch fish while they are golfing gets X amount off their score, like while they're actually playing. So
Wow.
every time you go on water, you get a rod, sneak it out of your bag, make a couple casts. If you can get a bass out of there, then you get 3 points off right then and there.
Well, I can tell you that's probably not how we're going to get golf courses to want us to come out. And the people golfing behind us probably won't appreciate us stopping to fish in the pond.
We'll let them pass. Gives us more time
we'll
to
just
fish.
let them pass, but then the next group and the next group and the next
We're going to have a 6-hour round.
Yeah, they're usually 4. I mean, if you're playing a good consistent pace, you can usually finish a good 18 holes in 4 hours. I mean, at the high end.
Oh, we're at the high end.
We're
at the high end of
out
golf,
there
and we're at the high end of that.
With the filming, too. We probably could have finished today's round 3.5 hours if we were really trying to play hard. But, I mean, yeah, you got to get out there and enjoy yourself. It's not all about pace of play. It's just about getting out there with your friends. Same as fishing. I mean, the two are really so similar. I think that's why we both enjoy them so much.
Yeah. I think that SD card is full, so I think we should wrap it up here. It's been an hour and 23 minutes.
It feels like it's been 15 minutes, but at the same time, it's
crazy
just,
about these podcasts.
These podcasts can just go. Because there's just so much fun stuff to talk about once you start getting into like memories and just your day of fishing. Because it's just a good time, especially when you're catching fish and having just a good day with your friend.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, we really, we did talk a little bit about the Keys trips in the past, a little bit of Goliaths and stuff, but in the Bimini trips, ride's over.
That's the thing. Like, we could extend on all the points we talked on by an hour each.
We have so many stories that we could have gone off from 100%. The past. We never talked about any shark fishing stories from the beach. Oh my
gosh, yeah.
We never talked about, we got a lot of different stuff that we could do in future podcasts.
These are just things that are you gotta stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Gotta stay tuned for the next one, Capt and Tater. But thank you for joining me on this one.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be the champion anytime. I got you. What did we end up at? 10 points.
Yeah, you're 10 points up on me.
10 points up. So
you have that championship necklace for now.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna take it home. I'm gonna be wearing it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I will keep going to the driving range, get my golf game better, and get my fishing game better. And I'm gonna steal that from you next time.
Hey, we shall see. We shall see. But until then, it's been a great time, and I'm just happy to be here, man.
I love it. All right, and we will see you guys next time.
Peace.